Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. God bless you. Welcome to Wednesday night's Bible study. My name is Pastor Ronnie Muniz, and I am the pastor of Saved by Grace Ministries in San Francisco, California. Tonight is August 7th. 2024, 6 p.m. Welcome to my brothers and sisters on Zoom and our little disciples that are showing up too. Boy, we got children in our circle, boy. Ain't even a year yet. Wait till that little boy gets old. He's going to be off the hook, boy. Welcome to those of you that are on Facebook. Welcome to those of you that will be watching from Zoom later on. So we're going to open up in prayer. Again, I got our place set up here, and we're ready to go. And there's a lot to cover, so I would like to start. Lord Jesus, Heavenly Father and Holy Spirit, tonight, Lord God, as I come before you, I just lay myself, Father, at the altar of grace, asking for forgiveness of my sins today, done in thoughts, words, actions, and deeds, Heavenly Father, because I know I have sinned, Lord God, because I am an imperfect man serving a perfect God. And I pray for the forgiveness of those who are hearing this message tonight, Father, and I pray that you will cover them as you cover me in your righteous judgment, Heavenly Father, and that your grace and your mercy that is new every morning, Father, we thank you for as it has carried us through the day, Father. So tonight, use me, Heavenly Father, to present your word in your way from Scripture, not leaning to the left nor to the right, but staying focused on Scripture and what it is you want to present to the body of Christ tonight. I'd like to pray for Israel before we start, Father, for there is a lot going on over there. And as we come together tonight, Lord, may we remember that, Lord, that we are called to pray for them and to intercede for them, Lord. And I pray for my brothers and sisters tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we have a lot. So there was a conversation last night brought up, and I know some of you weren't in our Tuesday night fellowship, but there was a conversation brought up last night about the Sabbath. And for those of you that can be on the screen, please be on the screen. I'd like to be able to see my brothers and sisters tonight. Hello, Susan. Good to see you. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit about this because I know that there's some of you that are kind of really looking forward to experiencing, let me use that word, experiencing it. But I really ask you, all of you that are listening, please do me a favor. From this point on in your journey with God, be led by the Spirit. Don't be led by the topics we may be talking about unless God is leading you to do that. Because you have to remember something. For me, I've been led to do the Sabbath, and I'm going to share with the body of Christ because we're called to do that. And a lot of people just look at the seventh day was a day of rest, but they don't really understand what that means. And let me show you a little bit about why I tell you to be led by God. And for those of you that, I pray you listen to this whole message tonight because there's going to be a lot there to cover that I think is going to bless a lot of you. And at the end, we have a service we're going to be talking about. Thank God for Amber and Sister Francine who put this whole thing together for us to have our end of the year barbecue. But again, so the reason I say I'm being led by the Spirit of God is because when I was in this circle of learning about Judaism and learning about the rabbis and learning from the rabbis and getting involved in Israel and all these things, I tapped into the understanding of the Sabbath. And when I did, my heart went out to it. I sent a picture today out of these two candle holders. And someone said, amen. And I was like, okay, I don't think they took the time out to look at what I was doing. So before, these two candlesticks were totally tarnished. I need you to hear this. Tarnished, dirty. So I cleaned one, but the other I left dirty, and I took a picture of it. Because as I was doing it, I got both of these for the Sabbath. They go with the candles. There's two candles that get lit. For those of you that are married like Amber and Clay, the wife is the one that lights the candle in the relationship. Then I went and bought some frankincense. It's funny, I think the internet is acting up, which is fine. That's why I'm glad I'm recording this on YouTube. So I went and bought some frankincense. Smells good. Frankincense is also used in the ceremony of the Sabbath. And so I've been led little by little to go ahead and do all this. So the interesting part was today I said, you know, there's a bread that goes with this. And I sent this out to everybody, and the bread is called Challah, C-H-A-L-L-A-H. So I went to a Jewish store. I'm in a store of Jerusalem that has Jerusalem food today. I went to a Palestinian store, and I couldn't find this bread. So I finally found the bread. And again, for those of you that are popping in and out because of the internet, when I went to look, you're on mute. When I went to look for this bread, I noticed that the bread was at this. I went to the Jerusalem restaurant, and we were all trying to figure this bread out. And the guy's like, I'm like, you're a Jerusalem restaurant, you should know what I'm looking for. And he goes, you got a picture? So I showed him the picture. He goes, oh no, you gotta go to this store over here. So let me show you what I mean by being led by the Spirit. Sorry for those of you that I was on mute. I apologize. But again, you're going to have to go back and see the beginning of this video because I see that the internet was messing up. But, so I went to the store. I went to, and again, I said, oh, do you have this bread? And check this out. This is how you know you're being led by the Spirit. The guy goes, oh yeah, we only make that on Fridays. I'm like, yes, because Shabbat is Friday. I'm like, can I order some right now in the store and pick it up on Friday? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I go, you sure it's the bread? And he said it. And when he said it, my heart just overflowed. And I'm like, Lord, you are really leading me to do this. Now, let me show you something, because everybody wants to get on board. I want to do it. Hold on. There's a leading to this. God is my witness. I'm in Oakland today. Why am I sharing all this? Because I want you to see the in-depth of what God is leading me to do, because he might be leading you to do it. So I'm in Oakland. I'm at this Pete's Coffee, and I'm ordering a coffee and my lunch. I'm on this diet, so I had to order this plant-based thing. And I'm standing waiting to use the restroom, and these two dark-skinned men are having a conversation in a language I don't know. And I'm looking at them. Now, why would I ask this question? I go, excuse me, what language are you talking in? They go, we're speaking in Israeli. I said, excuse me? He goes, we're speaking in Israeli. Are you an Israeli? And I'm like, no, but I'm studying, we're about to go to school to study Hebrew. They go, really? So they go back to their conversation. I'm stoked now, because I'm like, this is nothing but God. So I walk outside to sit there and drink my coffee. There's a group of them having a conversation in Israeli. I'm thinking, oh my God, Lord, this is amazing. And I'm sitting, and they're looking at me like, why aren't I mind joining in the conversation. Cause you know, I'm brown skinned, but they was real dark, but they had some of my color too. And I swear, God is my witness. I said, Lord, I feel like I'm sitting in Israel right now. I feel like I'm in Israel, and you just are making this all like, I know I have to do this on Friday now, God. There is no way that this is happening to me right now. Got the bread ordered. They only make it on Friday. Yesterday I went to Goodwill, found both of these for $3, and they're specifically for Shabbat. The guys are speaking in Israeli. They're from Israel. And right across the street is this Ethiopian restaurant. Where are Jews at? Ethiopia. And I'm just ecstatic. I'm like, God, I'm in. So I say all that to say this. When I say you gotta be led by the Spirit, it's because a lot of people want to jump on and do this and do that. And it's, you gotta understand something. Shabbat is not something you do once. And let me show you another reason why I say this too. I had a side job to do on Sunday. I shared this yesterday. I had a side job to do on Saturday. And after I said I got it, we made the time and everything, the Spirit said, aren't you doing Shabbat Friday? You can't work Saturday. Excuse me. I cannot work Saturday. Can we switch it to Sunday? They're like, yeah, no problem. See, my heart is in this. And because my heart, listen to me, brothers and sisters, I'm not telling you not to do this. What I'm saying is my heart is in it. And so when I put my heart in it, God said, okay, I'm going to meet you. When I said that I had one of these cleaned and one tarnished was because I felt like God saying to me, this was you tarnished. Now you're coming to a different cleanness with me. And so, with that being said, I sent you guys out, some of you, not all of you, because I had to do it through my phone. I sent you this document, and it's right here. For those of you that don't got it, I'll send it out because now I had it on my phone, now I have it on the computer, so I can send it to you. But it says Shabbat Friday night blessings. Blessing over the candles, blessings over the wine, blessings over the bread. So there's 3 sets of blessings. Now I sent you guys all the document. You know, I was so tired yesterday, and I was, you know, I even told my mom, I'm too tired right now. I just got to lay down. But the fact that you guys are really like interested in this, I said, you know what, God, I'm going to teach them. That way, if you guys want to do it, you can't do it. But please understand something. This isn't some little, this is not some little thing you're going to do. We're commanded to do this. And so I was in my new Bible, and I want to read something. And Brother Paul, Deacon Paul, he mentioned how God put this on his heart a few years back, and here we are again. And I was thinking of him this morning when I read this, so I'm going to read this to you. So if you got your Bibles, go to Deuteronomy chapter 5. And I want to read this to you before we get into the document. And I'm going to do my best to get into the 7 feasts tonight. But this is about God and you. This isn't a universal thing, unless for like Clay and his wife, if they were to do it. So for people who are married, and it'll be good for Bernadette to learn in case she wants to do this with her husband. So the candles are to be lit by the woman. And if you're single, you only have to light 1. But if you're in a relationship, you light 2, and the woman is the one that actually does it. So after you light the candles, there's a prayer. After you light the candles, you got to do like this with your eyes, and there's prayers that go with that. And then there's prayers that go over the wine, if you want to drink grape juice. And then there's prayers that go over the bread. And what this symbolizes is this place with you and God. And when we finish tonight, you're going to have a pretty good idea about it. I think for like Clay and Amber to actually, you know, and don't try to go as deep into it as I'm going. Go at the level and pace that you're at. Say, oh, you know what? I could probably do this part of it, but not this part, because God is looking at your heart. This isn't some performance thing. This is a heart thing. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 1. The 10 Commandments reviewed. And Moses called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I spoke to you, to your hearing today, that you may learn them and be careful to observe them. Verse 2, the Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Verse 3, the Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. Verse 4, the Lord talked with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to declare to you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up to the mountain. He said, verse 6, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Verse 7, you shall have no other gods before me. Verse 8, you shall not make for yourself a carved image and likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Verse 9, you shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. Verse 10, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. Verse 11, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold his guiltless who takes his name in vain. Verse 12, observe the Sabbath. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days shall you labor and do all your works, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work. Now this is deep. Listen to what he says. You, nor your sons, nor your daughters, nor your male servants, nor your female servants, nor your ox, nor your donkeys, nor any of your cattle, nor your strangers who is with you within your gates, that your male servants and your female servants may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there by a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God commands you to keep the Sabbath day. Now, you just heard all that. Now I'm going to explain it. So, the object of the Sabbath is that there's no work to be done. None. So, for me, it's a blessing. And actually, for some of you, because the Sabbath starts at around 7 o'clock, 7:20 at night, because it's the sunset. So from the sunset of Friday to the sunset of Saturday, which is from 7 to like 8 o'clock, because it's a 25-hour period, that time is strictly for you and God and your family. Like Clay got his son and his daughter. That's the time for them to sit and enjoy their fellowship. Those of you that have children, your fellowship with your family, learning about what God did for the children of Israel, because he set us free from our own Egypt. We all had an Egypt. Man, some of us had some deep, 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 dark Egypts that we was like, woo, thank you, Jesus. And that's what he said. I want you to come to me and be with me. So now I'm going to go through this document that I put together for you guys last night. And before I go over this, are we all okay? Are we, confused about anything? Or can I go into this teaching? How you doing, Mary? All right. The importance of the Sabbath. Now, everybody should have this document except for those who are not on the email chain. Exodus 20, verse 8 to 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy sons, nor thy daughters, nor their manservants, nor their maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is with thee in the gates. Now this is Moses speaking about what we read in Deuteronomy. And he's explaining to them that this was the covenant that was made at Mount Horeb when they, and for those of you that don't know what happened, they went to Moses and said, why are you the only one God talked to? Why won't God talk to us? Why he's only talking to you? Man, he was like, okay, you want to hear from God? And God said, tell them for 3 days they had to get prepared for this. And when they came to the mountain, he said, don't touch the mountain. Not you, not your kids, not your cattle, nobody. Because if you touch the mountain, you're going to die. And God spoke, and the mountain trembled, and so did they. And that's when we read in Deuteronomy. They said, nope, you know what is good, Moses? You talk to God for us, and you be the mediator, right? So right now, I'm kind of like the mediator right now in this situation of teaching you guys this. Okay, I wrote in parentheses, let us take a deeper look at thou shalt not work. This also means no use of lights and fire. So in the Old Testament, they didn't have light like we have light. The Orthodox Jews actually, and I'm going to do this with mine, they have these things they put on the refrigerator so the light doesn't go on. Because the light symbol, when you open the refrigerator, and again, I'm not telling you have to go this deep. When they open the refrigerator, turning on the light is work. That's how deep it is. They separate, you know how we roll the toilet and we rip it off to clean ourselves? The ripping is working. So what they do is they get the toilet paper, the paper towels, anything they're going to use like that, and it's all ripped and set up before Friday night. So that way they're prepared. So the ripping is also a form of working. So in their mindset, they're like, we really want to honor God on this not working situation. If you didn't get the paper, go to Exodus chapter 35. We're going to read verse 3. And I'm going to break down what he said. Exodus 35 verse 3 states, you shall kindle no fire throughout your habitation upon the Sabbath day. He was telling them, you can't light a fire throughout the Sabbath day, which means that the fire already had to be kindled. And all they were allowed to do was throw a stick on it. That's all they could do. And I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming. But again, I'm looking at like the way that it's done. They explained it for us nowadays, they got this metal thing you could put on the door so the light doesn't go on and off. They said, or just unscrew the light in the refrigerator and just open it. You know what I mean? If you're on the opener, you know what's in your refrigerator. So for me, right, I've noticed how they actually sell timers that plug into the light, and you could time for your Shabbat, so they're not working the lights. For me, I'm like, I'm just gonna have a dim light in the bathroom. I'm gonna have a dim light that can stay on all day. You can watch TV, but you can't watch secular TV. You can listen to music, but you can't listen to secular music. And I'm going to get more into that, but I'm just trying to give you the picture that I'm painting of how serious this is. And I was talking to my friend, she's in Israel. I mean, this girl's dear to my heart. She was like, you guys have no understanding as Christians, the blessing that's behind the Sabbath. There's a blessing that follows this. And I was like, wow, I didn't, until I started studying this thing, I was like, whoa, this is real talk right here. This is us coming, this is like a person who was away at work for the whole week and they came home to their mate, their husband or wife and the kids. All they want to do is be wrapped up with them. Nothing else. They just want to spend all that time with them. That's what God is saying to us. I just want to spend all this time with you. I want you to spend time with me, talking to me, loving on me, and I want to give that back to you. And I want to do it as we're coming in one. Here's something I'm telling you, this is going to get deeper. Friday sundown to Sunday sundown. This means that when they go out on Friday night, they cannot be turned off until Sunday, the refrigerator light as well. So basically, what happens is that on Saturday, when the sun goes down, you're done. So life goes back into its regular motion. So you could, turn the lights and everything back on. Verse 11 of Exodus 20. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Now I looked up the word hallowed, Hallowed. In Greek and Hebrew, this is what it means. Look how serious God takes this day. Hallowed means set something apart as holy or to sanctify it for a religious purpose. So God is saying, I want you to take this Sabbath day, which is a holy day, and sanctify it, set it apart from everything else, and this is our time together as one. I mean, are you seeing the love? I mean, I wish you could have, my eyes are tearing up thinking about this. You have no idea how I felt sitting at this coffee shop with all these Jewish folks and just listening to them talking God's language. And I'm like, I'm trying not to stare at them, but I'm caught up like, oh my God, like I felt like God saying, you really want this? You really want it? I'm going to give it to you. That's how I felt. And so this is why I'm saying, I'm sharing this with you because Christians should be doing this. There's a controversy, we don't have to do that and this and that. But let me tell you something. And this is just me talking from reading scripture. A lot of people say, I do this on the Sabbath, or this is the Sabbath. I'm like, wow, God, these people say that word like it's nothing. I study on the Sabbath. It's like, but you're doing secular things on the Sabbath. You're not really honoring the Sabbath, even though you say you are. Because if you are, you should be trying to do some of these things that God said we shouldn't be doing. And work, you're in the toilet, you ripped the paper, you just broke your Sabbath. And again, I'm not saying you guys got to go as deep in this as I'm going, But I'm going to tell you something, and I love all of you. When I went to that store to get the bread, and that guy said, I only make it on Friday, I'm watching all these little footprints in the sand that God is showing me. Like, he's drawing me to him. I didn't have to share this with none of you, but it was a conversation last night. So, but it's God drawing me to him. I'm not doing this because one of you brought it up. I brought it up. And God is drawing me to him. And what I feel like God, you know what, brothers and sisters? And I was sharing this, I think, with Sister Sophia. I said, I am so broken because people, man, thinks they're so good with God. And we're not. I was so telling God, there's so much pride inside of me. And I felt bad, like, wow, God. And he showed me, you guys, there's so many people that are doing all these works, reading and studying and doing all this like they're pleasing me. But they're not. And I'm understanding grace in a different way. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, yeah, God, you're right. There is nothing we could do to get into heaven. We are messed up. And you know what? I'm talking for myself, but I listen to a lot of people I know, even in my closest circle. You guys are, I read all day and I study, and you're sitting all day. Even for me, I'm like, God, I need to stop sending all these scriptures and doing all this stuff. I need to sit with you and realize how dirty and defiled that I am. And I've been, for the last week, just messed up, like realizing this, I'm far from where I need to be with God. Yes, Sister Sarah.
Good evening. So I'm confused. I thought Sabbath was Sunday.
Okay, so let's go back to this because I know that this was also a topic brought up last night. So we're not going to talk about the devil tonight. We're not going to talk about evil. So all of you that have those comments, save them for another day, please. So the Sabbath day was always Friday to Saturday because Sunday is the beginning of a new day. So when the Hebrews and the Jews had it on the Sabbath day, which was Sunday, what happened is when the Catholics and the Christians came in, you got to remember they changed they had theirs on Sunday. So the the Catholics and the Christians, they celebrate theirs on Saturday, but the Jewish people celebrate theirs from Friday to Saturday.
Okay.
So basically, when we grew up, I see you, Paul. When we grew up Catholic, we went to church on Sunday. As Christians, we went to church on Sunday. But when you hopefully, when most people started to study, they started to realize, oh, wait a minute, the Sabbath is actually Saturday. So a lot of people focused on Saturday. So it's from sun up to sundown. So the Sabbath is like you're coming from Friday into Saturday, which is ending the week. And then Sunday starts the week. So Sunday is considered the first day of the week.
Okay.
And to add to that, you have to remember too that in the Old Testament and even in the Jewish tradition, there's not 365 days. There's only 360 days. So there's a lot, and again, I'm not trying to, and I'm glad you asked that question, but I'm not trying to go, I can go deeper, but I don't want to do that to you guys because then I could discombobulate you, and I don't want to do that. But that answers that question, and I know that was brought up last night as well.
Okay, I wasn't in fellowship last night, but thank you for clarifying that. And then one last question, and then Deacon Paul, I apologize. So for the folks that have to work on Saturday and Sunday, how does you don't have a choice, you know, like firefighters or people who work for government agencies are required to work on like those days.
So from what I've learned from the rabbi is that, again, it's how deep you want to go, right? He said he called firefighters, police officers, essential workers. Like, these are folks that are saving lives, for a better choice of words. But for those of us that, you know, like I was sharing with Paul last night, again, a lot of people weren't in fellowship last night. I'm just reading, Sister Edith said the Sabbath is a Jewish day of rest that is observed from sundown. So again, it goes back to what I'm saying. So Paul, I got thrown off. I was reading her thing. For Paul was saying, so you have to make that decision in your own heart. Am I going to make this sacrifice? And if I am, I got to go tell my job that, hey, you know what? This day right here, these 24, 25 hours, I can't work. And Paul's question or request to me was, could I write a letter for him to give to his job? Of course I can. But most people say, well, people usually use those letters for Sunday service. But again, if you're being led after all this to do it, maybe you might want to take a baby step in that direction. You know, take a baby step in that direction. Learn about what I sent you. Read it, study it, say, you know what, maybe I could do this, but maybe not that. And maybe this isn't for me. Like, everybody watching this isn't for them. They're probably saying, why am I, involved in this? I don't want to learn about that, but we're supposed to do it. And that's why I'm bringing it up. So, good, sir? Saida?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Let me go to Paul first, and then I'll go to Sophia. Yes, Paul.
Thank you, Pastor Ronnie. Thank you for covering this topic. To help you, Sister Saida, in my study Bible, it says that certain holy days were set apart from others and were given extraordinary significance. It also says that is why God commanded Israel to observe a day of rest, to remember that God ceased from work of all creation on the seventh day. In Deuteronomy, it says that the Sabbath was also celebrated in Israel's release from Egyptian bondage. This is what I wanted you to understand. It says here, in the Christian tradition, the first day rather than the seventh day is generally set apart to observe the most significant event in Christian history, the resurrection of Christ. So it's the Catholics, the Christians, is the one who changed it from the Sabbath to Sunday. I'm reminded of Acts chapter 4 in verse 19, where Peter and John they healed a gentleman as they were walking into the synagogue. There was a man standing out there, and he was thinking that maybe they'll give him something. And so Peter came up to him and said, look at me. He says, gold I don't have, but what I do have I'll give you. In the name of Jesus Christ, stand up. And he stood up, and he went in with them. Well, the Pharisees were all, upset about the whole deal, And they were basically telling him to, not to speak in the name of Jesus around there, because they didn't want people to be stirred up, because people were leaving the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they were going up towards Christ's teaching. And in verse 19 of Acts, it says, but Peter and John answered and said to them, whether it is right in the sight of God to listen to you more than God, you judge. And so what I'm trying to get at is that if the Bible says the Sabbath is Saturday, then who are we to question God? If man's tradition was to change it to Sunday, whether it's the Catholic Church or the Christian Church decides to change it to Sunday, God's word is still the same, today, tomorrow, and forever. It says the Sabbath. And as far as the research I've done, the Sabbath is the seventh day. It's the last day of the week. In Exodus, in the book of Genesis, it said that God created the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Seventh day in Spanish is Septimo. Septimo is the seventh. Well, the seventh day is Saturday. So that's what the Bible, from my understanding, says. And based on man's traditions, you know, they moved it from Saturday to Sunday. For whatever reason, they decided to do that. And it's been that way ever since. Whether it's right or wrong, you know, like I said, Peter and John said, you judge. So I hope I didn't confuse anyone there.
No, I think before I let Sophia go, I get where Paul is going as far as like that, but let's stay on the fact that, and again, it doesn't take from what Sarah was asking, because it's good to understand what they meant, but let's not take away from like the add-ons of what Paul was saying with Peter and Paul and the raising of the guy, because there's more to that scripture which Paul is reading, which talks about they were mad because Jesus was doing things on a Sabbath day. But we're not going to get into that because it can't go another route. But thank you, Paul. Sister Sophia.
Hi, everybody. God bless you. So, just real quick, regarding the no, the state of California acknowledges religious, entities. So if you go to your work and share with them, like, I need this time off, or I need this day off, or these hours off, it's a law. They have to give it to you. So I just thought I'd share that. I wanted to share that Shabbat is also something that is mentioned in the Old Testament, what they did, but it is very much mentioned in the New Testament as well. So when something, stayed in the Old Testament and were brought into the New Testament when Jesus was around, it very much was around with Jesus. I'm driving, so I don't have my notes because this has been brought up. I'm super excited about it and praying on it and preparing for it, because everything Pastor is saying is true and correct. And I know I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, that's all I thought I'd share.
Okay. So with all that was said, I think that's great. I appreciate all your guys' input, because input is important. I really want to go back to the emphasizing on this, because this is not like, oh, we're doing Easter Sunday. Oh, this is more, you have to be led to do this, because what you have to understand is that if you start this, how long are you going to do it? Or is this something like, oh, the pastor spoke about this, I'm going to do it? Again, this is something I was led to do, like literally in my spirit to do. And I'm sharing it with folks to see, what do you guys want to do about it? Do you want to start? Do you want to do that? Is God leading you? Then this is how you do it. So, thank you. We're almost done with this. All right. This day is specifically for you and God. If you're married, you can have no sexual relations. This is a pure and holy and sanctified time where when the husband and wife are together as a family, but they're coming before God on their own. Because this is an intimate time between you and God. So he's not, and this is what the lady from Israel that was sharing with me was like, she was the one that was really pouring into me, because she's in Israel and they do this every Friday. And so I'm learning from her and the rabbi, and I'm like, whoa, this is like really where you are basically, that's why I said, I feel so, man, like, even being in fellowship last night, I had to get off. Because I'm like, God, this, I don't want to start, there was too much just conversation. And I'm like, I can't be here. Because my mind was so, like, trying to stay in this realm with God. And it's hard. It's hard trying to be holy. It's hard. Like, I'm like, I can't watch this. I can't, like, my mind has switched where I feel like I'll share this with you to help you. I was talking with Pastor Dino last night. He goes, hey, I want to start preaching on Revelation. The girls are excited. What do you think? And I'm like, well, I preach on Revelations. I don't really know if, and I'm preaching on this. And then I stopped and said, wait a minute, you know what? I don't have a church anymore. If they want to follow you and go into that, I'm okay with that. Because it's all right. Because I said, I need to be humble because you guys aren't my possession. And whatever God is going to do with you or through you, got nothing to do with me. As long as I'm pleasing God, as long as I'm lining up with God, as long as at the end of the day, I could look to God and say, I did 95% what I could and 5% was bad. And hopefully tomorrow it'll be 98% good and 2% bad. That's my mindset now. I don't want to be a prideful man. And I'm every morning, Lord, help me through this day. Lord, prepare me for this. Lord, guide me I'm on a different page, and I can't explain it. It's just please don't try to do this just to do it. Please don't do that. Because I'm like, wow, God, that means if I ever get in a serious relationship, I'd have to probably marry a Jew because she would understand. Most people are like, you want me to give up my Friday? For Friday, that's a whole 24-hour period. That's the weekend. I didn't work all week. I'm like, you're not getting it. This is God's time. This is something, oh, well, that's what Sunday's for. No, that's not. Isaiah 58, verse 13. Isaiah 58, verse 13. This is going to switch on you guys. Hold on to your seats. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing things your way, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking things of thy own words. He's making it clear. You can't be watching stuff you would normally watch. You can't be doing things you would do for your own pleasure because it's the weekend. It's strictly God in you. See, this isn't some little innocent thing here. And God is taking, that's what I'm saying. Just really think about what I'm saying. And for some of you that are probably seeing this, are like, man, why is he talking about this? Because we are in a place where we should be wanting more of God to be prepared for what's coming. Because if we ain't ready, man, we're not paying attention. What's going on in Israel, there is going to go on here. If we're not in tune with God and we're about to go through some serious times, we're not going to hear him. We're not going to be strengthened by him. And God said, listen to the God said, I'm coming back for a church without spot or blemish, which means we have to be really focusing on pleasing the Lord. It's God first, then your wife, then your kids, and then you, and then everybody else. And God's family order, it's God, family, and then church. There's orders to these things. And so I just want us to understand, please, 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 stop putting yourself in this place. Oh, God is using me this way. God this, God that. You have the language that every Christian has, and yet you're really not in tune with God as much as you think you are. But you sound like you are. God is looking at that going, man, they don't even, they're more words than they are spirit. He said, you must worship me in spirit and truth. And honestly, brothers and sisters, I'm telling on myself. Like, I'm like, God, I am definitely not worthy. I'm thinking I'm doing all this great work for the kingdom. And people always tell me, oh man, you know, you're pleasing God, you're feeding the homeless, you're in the jails. I'm like, that, but am I really pleasing God? Am I really satisfying God's desire of me? But I've been seriously really evaluating my own walk. And honestly, I don't want to go there. This clearly means you're not doing things you like to do on this day, but to immerse yourself into God. Now, we're going to close on this topic on this. So, for those of you that can see this, those of you on YouTube can't. So, here's 2 candles. So, what happens is you get the 2 candles. Look at perfect. You get the 2 candles and you light the candle and you say, the candles are lit before the blessing is recited. So I light the candles. Barak atah Adonai Elohim, Melech Holam Asher Ki Shevu Bi Mitzvatava Vi Tisavu I Hadali Nir Shel Shabbat. Meaning, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who hallowed us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. After that, there's a glass of wine or grape juice, introducing the biblical passages, which is Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 to 3, remembering the creation. Vaha iriva hi vokur, yam hasashi va shulu has hamai. And I can't wait to get my Hebrew down because I start school next week. But this means, and there was evening and there was morning the 6th day. The heavens and the earth were finished and all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that he had been doing, and God ceased on the 7th day from all the works that God had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. I want to bring this into this because someone had said, I think it was Sarah said about for those who have to work, one of the things that I learned about Shabbat is that you're to trust in God to provide for you even if you have to give up that day. It's like your whole focus is on God, and God is like, you're on me, don't worry about nothing, I got you. And then there's another prayer, and then there's the bread. The bread is covered. As the bread is covered, there's another prayer that goes. So the bread is covered. Barak atah Adonai Elohim melech halam hamosi lechem mim Hares, can't get it. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who brings forth bread from the earth. Then you uncover the bread, you break the bread, and then you eat it. And so what happens is there's a feast that goes with it, and there's the feast is usually kosher. So you can look up the different stuff that you can eat. And then after you eat, there's worship that you could do, and then there's reading of the Bible, there's fellowship. And if you're, alone, then you could spend that time like in the Word, listening to worship. If you feel like, hey, I want to watch a movie, it got to be geared on God. It's like, just think of it this way, brothers and sisters. For those of you that are women, you could think of it like I'm cozying up with my God. For us men, we're kicking back with God and letting him pour into us that we can become the men he's asked us to become. So that's what Shabbat is all about. I'm going to do pretty much the best I can I've already started preparing my house. I got the bread ordered. I got and here's another thing. I didn't read this. There's one more section. So I ordered frankincense and myrrh. I ordered it on Amazon, and it came yesterday. I was like, God is good. They delivered this to me in one day. So here's there is frankincense and myrrh incense that are lit. Frankincense, often burned, frankincense symbolizes prayer rising to the heavens like smoke. It was also used for worship in the temple and represents Christ the high priest. Myrrh was used in ancient Israelite temples worship as an ingredient in the holy anointing oil for consecrating the priest and the tabernacle of the king. So these get lit, the candles are lit, so now you're lighting the light of the world, which is Jesus, and the frankincense is the scent that's going up to God. So God, I hope you get this. God is just breathing in the frankincense as you're praying and worshiping. You're coming in a union with the Lord, who is the light of the world. And that's what Shabbat is all about. So I know I took our whole hour of that, but I think it was worth it. If you have any questions or anything you want to add, now is the time.
I do, Pastor. I wanted to say that
Amen, Edith. Sorry, go ahead.
Everything that you explained, it sounds so intimate. An intimate time with God and very personal. And I agree with you. I think it's not being done because someone else is doing it. I love that you added that it has to be coming from your heart, from your intimacy that you want with God. And I'm going to go back and watch this video because I feel like I need to see it again to get a clearer picture and more. And you know, Pastor, I'm listening to you, and there's a humbleness. There's something different about you. I mean, you're Pastor Ronnie, but there's something different in you that I'm feeling. I'm feeling this really humble softness you have right now with this intimacy of doing this, but just a change. It's like, you know, you're a very stern pastor in the word, but I'm feeling this love and this I don't know how to explain, like this really this humbleness about you. So I'm seeing this kind of change. I don't know if anyone else is seeing this, but it's definitely, I'm saying like it's just this personal thing with God. But I'm going to go back and watch this, and I thank you so much for sharing this. And I want to get more into this because we can do this ourselves. When are you starting this? I might have missed that.
Friday.
Sorry?
Friday.
Oh, right now. Okay.
Friday. Friday.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you. Friday. Okay.
From Friday at 7 to Saturday at 8.
8. Okay. Well, you know, we pray for you, but I just, again, I feel this change in you and this shift, and glory be to God. And thank you what you said about Pastor Gina. We kind of all got excited about Revelations. And I think it's because you taught us so much about Revelations that we're just like wanting to go back and redo and see what the Holy Spirit brings it. Same word, but just through a different teaching. But thank you so much, and God bless you, Pastor Ronnie.
Thank you. Yes, Sophia.
So, in me researching, I've come to realize that doing Shabbat is something that it's like once you start it, that's going to be something that's going to be part of your life. It's like an oath, you know, like you start it, you finish you know? So, and something that you cannot compromise. Like, even when I'm listening to you and talking, I'm thinking, like, if I make this choice for my life to start it, that means when I travel, I need to take 2 candle holders and 2 candlesticks in my suitcase, you know, wherever I go, if it's on the weekend, you know, because I still have to make that commitment wherever I go. It has to go with me wherever I go, you know? So, so it's very much something to just, you know, do your research on and make sure that when you do step out to start doing that, to have that understanding that it's like a lifelong commitment as well, you know? So I just wanted to share that.
No, and she's correct, and that's why I'm making it very clear. And honestly, I wasn't even going to tell you guys anything about it, but when the lady's name is Aponai, and when she was telling me a lot of Christians don't know about this, and this is what we're supposed to be doing, because I would always hear, oh, I'm at Shabbat, and you know, this place and I see you, Paul, what Sophia is saying, and this is why I'm saying it to you, like, I made the commitment that I want to do this. It ain't like I got, like, I mean, I don't party, so I mean, what you know, what am I gonna, I'm gonna honor God. I'm gonna do this with God, and this was something that I came to terms with myself, that this is what I'm going to do. Will I perfect it all the time? I hope so. I mean, to the best of my ability. But I think it's something that we all should really think. We serve a God that blesses us financially, emotionally, physically. I mean, a lot of us got more stuff than we need. And, you know, God did that. And at least for me, I feel like, why would I not want to do it? But on the other end, I'm not telling all of you to do it. But if God pulls on you and says, I want you to do this, then at least you have an outline of how to do it, and go back and see, you know, let me go watch that and see where God leads me. And I see you, Sister Francine. The one thing I want to say before I let her go is to really understand this one thing. And this is really important. This is like 101. You got to see the steps that God took with me once I put it in my heart, not my mind, in my heart, that this is what I was going to do. He made all the things appear. I was going to order 2 candlesticks from Amazon and some candles. And then I remember, wait a minute, I got a candle and some candle holder and candles packed in the storage. And I'm thinking, oh, but they're way in the storage. You know that he gave me enough stretch room to get the candle holder. But the candle holder is I forgot the name of it. It holds 8 of them. And then all of a sudden I went to go to the thrift store, and I'm like, if I clean these up, and boom, I got the candles, I got that. Then all of a sudden I'm into this realm, and I go to look, I went all over Frisco looking, and then the front end up at a store in the barrio on 24th in Valencia, where I used to bang. Right there at the store, and the guy only makes them on Friday. It's like, whoa. And then to go and see the folks from Israel speak up, I was like, I'm in, God. You have and again, I believe God is saying, I'm meeting you because it's in your heart. It's not in your mind. Yes, Francine.
Thank you for bringing this to light. Over the last 2 years, 3 years, I've asked, a couple of different pastors, about the Saturday and Sunday, honoring the Sabbath and why we have church on Sunday. So this is just something that I know that the Lord has been, He's been bringing to light. And I thank you for this information to go ahead and go research. My question is, this is a Sabbath. This is a Sabbath ritual for every Saturday, right? Because they have so many different feasts. So this is not one of the feasts. This is the Sabbath.
Yes, it's not a ritual, but it is the Sabbath. We got the 7 feasts we haven't started, but yes, this is like to the Lord, like and so when you're doing it, it's like, I mean, again, I'm reading a book. It's called The Lion of Judah, and I'm learning about like a lot of things about the Jewish people and how they were, and the 3 types of Jews that there are. You got your Orthodox Jew, you got your Orthodox Jew, your what is it? There's 3. I got it in the book, but anyway, and I'm really starting, and I think part of this, Francine, is that God. And Sister Edith reminded me, it's the menorah that I got. So, and I had the menorah because I've actually done the menorah with that prayer too. But so, and this is back to the heart thing, like Francine was saying. She's been wanting information on this for so long. Yeah, the Hazadak, yeah. And it's your heart. If God is pulling on your heart in a direction, He's inviting, God, this is great. He's inviting you to come into His presence in that way. It's not that way for everybody. Everybody got their own, God might be pulling you in this, something else. But God has watched me over the years. I've taught you guys. I've did it with you guys, how we had the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I broke it down. We had the feast and everything. We broke that down. Then I did with the Hangdog. I did all that. I lit the menorah. Now I'm on this one. I'm like, what? And I believe God is saying, if you're trying to meet me here, I'm going to meet you here. And I'm glad that I'm able to share it, because Francine and Deacon Paul have been being pulled in this direction. And then now Sister Sophia was like, wait, this is like something I want to do. And so when I'm kind of trying to get around into that thing, it's, yeah, it is an Orthodox Jew, but you got the Orthodox, you got the conservative, and you got there's another one. It's in the book, but the more I'm hungering towards the original, like I'm paying almost $150 every month to go to school to learn Hebrew. Why? So I could read Hebrew. And I could teach you guys what the original text says. Because there's so much in it that's not in our English translation. So I'm telling God, please let me make it through this. So again, it's where God has been pulling me to. And so if He's pulling you there, man, let's do it. I mean, and that too, because I know Sister Sophia said, I got to take 2. If you're single, you only got to do 1. The reason I'm doing 2 is because that's the way I see it, and everything that's been presented has been 2, and so I'm presenting it as that way, right? But to kind of sum this whole thing up for a better understanding, there's only 4 of you left on here, is that go to God for yourself. Go to Him and say, is this what you want me to do? Because I will guarantee you, you're going to have pushback. Like I said, when the job came, I'm broke. I'm like, I need to do this because I'm still paying off my truck. But when it was reminded in my head, hey, you already made it up. I didn't even stutter. If they would have said, nope, we can't do it, I'd be like, well, then I can't do it. Because I've already made that commitment to the Lord. And so that's something you got to do. I hope I answered you, Francine. I know you wasn't asking the question.
No, I appreciate that. My son was actually
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, wow, I didn't know you knew so much. I was really blown away. But my son was just giving me so much. And he's like, look, Mom, and he was pulling up all these videos, YouTube. And I was like, wait, he gave me a lot to think about. And it ties in exactly to this.
And here's the interesting thing. Her son didn't know we was talking about this. See, so you could see how God is. There's folks that God is like, hey, and we are, in my opinion, coming back to that Old Testament phase with God, because remember, what has been, what will be has already been, and what is to come has already, you know what I mean? It's in the book of Ecclesiastes. The whole point I'm trying to make is I believe God is saying we need to come back to God. Jesus done did all his work. God has saved. But somehow we are leaving the whole concept of, one thing I've learned, and I see you, Brother Paul, Deacon Paul, is that Jesus, God, this book I'm reading on the Lion of Judah, man, I'm like, you could see Jesus in the Old Testament like never before. I'm like, wow, this rabbi is like, man, I was in the dang laundry last night, couldn't stop reading it. And I'm like, wow, Jesus, we are, oh, my God. Sister Edith said Jewish calendars every month is a certain meaning. Yes. And that's another thing. Letters and numbers in the Bible for Hebrew is a lot of details in there about about creation, about everything. There's so much we're missing out on because we're just, I'm a Christian. Yes, Paul, sorry.
No, it's okay, Pastor Ronnie. I'm just glad that God has been pulling you towards Him, showing you things, trying to open your eyes, drawing Him to you. And it's reminded me of a video I watched today, and God really spoke to me. It was a video of this woman. She was saying that her and her sister, they're Christians. Her and her sister, they talk on the phone every Monday, and so like they spend together on the phone on Monday, and they spend an hour and a half, talking about their families. They're lifting them up in prayer, and they make this a habit. They've only haven't done it like a handful of times throughout the year where they haven't made that connection. And she was talking about how God longs for us to draw ourselves to Him. He wants a one-on-one relationship with Him. And as she was talking about that, she says that God gave her a vision. And in this vision, she said she saw Jesus sitting at this bistro table. It's one of these little circle tables you have at a coffee shop. It's a very small table, and it's got two chairs. So when you sit on that chair on both sides, you're real close together. It's real intimate. And she said that she saw this vision of Jesus, and he was sitting at this bistro table, and he was waiting for her to come to him to spend one-on-one time with her. And she says, it's kind of like when you go out on a date, and you're excited, and so you're getting yourself ready, and you're going to go on this date, and you go to this place, and you're sitting there, and you're waiting for your date to come, and you're waiting, and and the person never comes. And how heartbroken you are because you got stood up, And she was saying that, in life, sometimes we get occupied with so many things that we say, I'll spend time with you, Lord. I'll spend time with you. Let me get this stuff done first, and then I'll come and spend time with you. And then the day goes by, and then you go, oh, Lord, it's the end of the day. I'll spend time with you tomorrow. And then tomorrow is the same thing, And so God, Jesus is like, he's sad because you didn't sit at the table and be one-on-one with him. So he's like, okay, I'll wait for you tomorrow. And he's still sitting there. And then you don't go tomorrow because you're so busy with life and things that Jesus is still there, and he's sad because you haven't sat at that little bistro table one-on-one. And how he longs for us to have that one-on-one time with him. Well, it hit me, man, like a ton of rocks. And I was like, wow, he showed me that, that one-on-one time you want with your son, that you long for with your son, that's the one-on-one I want with you. And it hit me so hard today that I I am not perfect, man. I have a lot of like, I am far from where I need to be. There's a lot more I need to do and I need to work on. And just today, that revelation of God wanting to spend one-on-one with me, and He longs for me to spend a one-on-one with Him. And He just reminded me, you know that one-on-one you long for your son you haven't seen in 3 years? That's the one-on-one I want with you. And it hit me today hard. And so I just wanted to share with you that that's something that God showed me today. That longing that I want with my son is the same longing that Jesus Christ wants with me. And He showed that to me today. It hit me hard.
So it's okay. No, that's actually good. But here's the thing that amazes me. It's me, Francine, you and Bernadette and Sister Edith on Facebook. We're talking about meeting God one-on-one on the Sabbath, and everybody left. You know, that shows a lot. And everybody, well, I had to do this and I had to do that. I worked all day. I set this whole thing up this morning so I could have enough strength to just come and sit down. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. But, you know, yeah, right? But when I think about, like, how God must look, like, wow, you're telling them how to meet me. You're telling them how to spend this honored day with me, and they left. And what is everybody gonna say? Oh, well, I'll just catch it on YouTube. It's like, you know, to go back to what Bernadette was saying, so me and Sister Edith, who's on Facebook, we've been helping a really good friend of mine's mother. And I've watched her and she's watched me, and we've just together been trying to help this lady whose son is lost in the world. And today we finally got a breakthrough on giving her what she needed. And I'm like, this is what God is calling us to do. We have to be there for those people that can't be there for themselves. And when I came here and I watched, you know, the reason, like what Bernard is saying about me, is because I'm scared. Like, I told God, I thought I was ready if you came. And Francine came to my head because I remember saying, I'm not ready. And a lot of us may not be, but we think we are because we got the Christianese in us. And that really made me think, and what Paul was saying tonight about he's got so much work. I was telling God, I have so much work to be done. Like, you know, wanting to have, you know, like, that's great you guys all want to go sit under Pastor Dino and listen to him. In my head, I'm like, well, that gives me more time for me to be alone with God. Because I don't have to teach everybody. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about, how is God seeing me? How is God fixing me? How is God correcting me? And before you say anything, Bernadette, just hold on. And that's the thing. We don't always have to have something to respond. Rather it hits you or not, maybe God is just asking you to listen. Because what I'm trying to illustrate is the difference inside of me that happened to me is me realizing I am so far from where I want to be with God. Like, there's this, I'm so broken that it's not because I'm living this really evil, corrupt life, but it's because I'm realizing that a lot of the things people are doing, including pastors, it's not really about glorifying God. And so I want to be like, I want him to be happy with me. I want God to look at me and say, well done. Like, yes, you know, what's happening inside of me is, it's different. I don't even want to watch the videos I do. I don't even, sometimes I'm like, should I be on Facebook, guys? Should I be on these social medias? Or should I just turn myself away from it and not do it? You know, and maybe that, so I could just be like, it just really did something to me. And I understand why monks are locked away, because it's only about them and God. And it's you know, I've learned a lot too about why women, and a lot of people don't know the reason, like the Muslims are running after what God did. The women, the Jewish women, they cover their hair because it's supposed to be only for their husbands, so they're not enticing other men. So there's a lot of things that the Jewish traditions do that Muslims do. And I'm seeing that, wow, you know, they're following the same thing. But we have a lot of women that don't realize that they're enticing men. We have men that are enticing women, and we're Christians. And it's like, whoa, what are we doing? Like, even with me and my music, I'm like, God, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I blasting my music? Why am I listening to it? I mean, there's this whole thing going on in me, and it's really making me realize how, like, wow, God, am I really pleasing you? Yes, Bernadette.
You know what came to mind when you're saying all this?
Not sure.
When you closed the church doors, not you, but God, you prayed on it, you needed this for you. Because what I've seen you doing, Pastor Ronnie, is you have such a love for the church and the body that you were kind of driving yourself to a point where you weren't really having that quality time for yourself with God, because you were more worried to bring the word to us. This is my thought. But I see now that, and I think this is what I see in you, it's like you're finding this time with just you and God now. You still care about the body. You're still bringing the word. You're still doing your ministry. But I see the change of, like, what is this change? So it is that change in everything you're saying, is that you're finding this intimate time with God, and you're doing it. And do you guys know what I mean? Like, there's this humbleness about Pastor Ronnie. It's so different. And
you know, Bernadette,
I keep loving that.
But you know, Bernadette,